My son sneered at me and said, "Don't expect a penny of Dad's $56 million fortune." But during the reading of the will, when the lawyer spoke my name, his face turned ghostly pale. In that moment, everything changed. If you're watching this video, tell me where you're from or what time it is for you. Look who finally showed up. Marcus didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. The chapel was a bowl for sound, polished stone, and grief bouncing every word twice. Heads turned, a few phones rose like periscopes. I set my umbrella in the stand and stepped forward. The casket was close enough to touch, the lilies already browning at the edges. Richard had hated lilies. I should have remembered to order peonies. One more small failure right on schedule. "Marcus," I said, "I'm here too." He pivoted. A perfect little stage turn in a black suit that knew how to find cameras. "To what?" His mouth curled. "To rehearse your apology, to squeeze tears out of ducts you haven't opened in a decade. 10 years is a fast number to say, and a slow thing to live." A ripple of whisper laughter from the back pews. People who practiced empathy in public and revenge in private. People who had called Richard a visionary while shorting his stock. People who loved the smell of a fall. I kept my hands at my sides. "I came to say goodbye to your father. His name was Richard," he said, and his eyes sharpened to little surgical tools. "And you don't get to say goodbye. You forfeited that right when you left." A flash popped, then another. I sensed the angle, my profile, his perfect contempt, the casket, the cross. Anyone with a tabloid account could frame it. Marcus. I tried again. He moved closer. The room tightened with hunger. "No," he said softly, voice honeyed from microphones. "You don't get to speak, Dorothy. You get to listen." His foot tapped my ankle with the casual precision of a dancer who had rehearsed the stunt. I went down hard, palms loud on marble, gasps, a muffled laugh, a hiss of breath. The old ache in my hip made a bright little star behind my eyes. Phones multiplied. I caught a reflection in the lacquered side of the casket. A middle-aged woman on her knees at her ex-husband's funeral. 100 strangers voting with their cameras. I rose slow and deliberate. My dress needed a brush. My pride needed surgery. "You're right," I said. The words tasted like rust. "I deserve that. But your father deserved better than this circus." Something flickered in Marcus's face, then hardened again. He angled his body 3 degrees for the aisle camera. From the vestibule, a woman in a dark raincoat cleared her throat. Gray hair, shoes that didn't apologize for their price. The kind of neutral face you hire to carry bad news safely. "Ms. Washington," she said, offering a card. "Sterling and Monroe. I'm counsel to the estate." Marcus snatched the rectangle before I could read it, rolled his eyes. "You couldn't wait 24 hours to tell her she gets nothing." "We couldn't reach her," the attorney said. "We need both of you present for the will reading tomorrow, 2 p.m. In whose office?" Marcus said, "Ours." He gave me a content creator's smile, bright, predatory, already thumbnail. "Mom, you should come. You can watch me inherit $56 million. Won't that be educational?" The attorney's eyes moved just once, not a word, a tell. Poker players and lawyers leak in the same tiny ways. I pocketed a copy of the card when Marcus wasn't looking. Embossed, heavy, the kind that made your thumb respect it. Helen Carter, partner, a loop address, a landline number that felt like it still believed in secretaries. 2 p.m., Helen said, "Please be prompt." Marcus escorted her away with the posture of a king, reluctant to share his kingdom. I approached the casket. I rested my fingers on the wood and whispered, "I'm here." Like it could travel. It didn't. After the service, the sky broke into a clean, cold rain. I stood under the overhang, waiting out the crowd. Condolences came in practiced batches. Tight hands, damp eyes, the scent of cologne that cost more than apologies. Someone brushed past and muttered, "Nerve to show." And someone else said, "Content is content." As if that were a sacrament. My phone buzzed. A friend I hadn't earned in years. "You, trending." The clip is everywhere. I didn't open it. I could feel the shape of the video in my bones. My fall, his line, the casket, the captions. "Dead husband, deadbeat mom." A file name in the cloud labeled, "Watch this mother eat pavement." The rain slackened. I took the L because the car felt obscene, and because the city would punish me either way. A teenager by the door watched the clip, not bothering to turn down the volume. My body hitting stone, looped, little laughter. A quick glance up the car to confirm that I was the woman from the video. I didn't give him the satisfaction of a flinch dot at my building. The doorman pretended to have a package for someone else. I pretended not to notice. In the elevator mirror, I looked like a woman who had once been handsome and had mismanaged the maintenance schedule. Inside the apartment, the silence did the thing silence always does. It counted the furniture and found the missing people. I placed Helen's card on the counter, ate half a banana I didn't want, and called the number on the back of a small blue velvet box that I hadn't opened since the day I didn't marry Richard. Richard and I had never believed in symbols, but we had believed in beginnings. We had been wrong about which things last. I pressed play on the voicemail box I had set up for Marcus years ago. My voice back then had sounded younger, like it still thought it could outrun itself. "Marcus," I said after the beep, "it's me. I'm sorry for today. I'm sorry for a lot of days. I'll be at Sterling and Monroe at 2. If you want coffee first or after, I'll be at the cafe across the street at 1. I'll sit by the window. I won't come over unless you signal. That's a promise." I stopped, deleted it, tried again. "Marcus, 2 p.m. I'll be on time." I slept like a woman who didn't deserve to and woke like a woman who had been run through a machine. The clip had grown arms overnight. A gossip site had made a clever headline. A business blog had threaded a timeline they got wrong. A tiny activist account had a smart, brutal paragraph about women who love men in public only when they are dying. At 1:30, I sat by the cafe window with a cup I didn't drink. Marcus did not appear. At 1:55, I crossed to Sterling and Monroe, where the marble lobby pretended money was a form of cleanliness. The receptionist's smile was soft and lethal. "Ms. Washington, Ms. Carter, we'll see you." Helen's office looked like a woman whose best friend was a minimalism catalog. A single piece of art, a photograph of a lighthouse in a storm, the lens throwing a white finger through rain. I tried not to read it as a sermon. Marcus arrived at 2:04, sunglasses on, rain still stippling his hair. He took the chair opposite mine and spun it 1.5 degrees to angle his best side toward the window's reflection. "For minutes," he said, "dock me." Helen didn't sit. She turned on a small recorder, placed a folder on the table, and arranged 3 pens precisely parallel. "The last will and testament of Richard Hayes," she said, voice with the fatigue of someone who recites the law more than she sleeps. "Executed and notarized." She gave a date that swam past me. "We'll proceed provision by provision." Marcus leaned back. "Let's skip to the part where I buy a penthouse." Helen didn't blink. "Bequests first. Specific gifts." She read a line about a charity I'd forgotten we once visited together. Another about Richard's uncle. A painting, a scholarship, a violin. Then to my son, Marcus Washington, I bequeath the sum of $500,000 in cash, to be placed in trust or delivered outright at the discretion of my executor. Marcus's smile twitched. "Cute warm-up money," Helen continued, smooth as a blade. "To my former spouse, Dorothy Washington, I bequeath my personal effects as enumerated in Exhibit C." She paused, looked at me, and finally, "The remainder of my estate, after debts and expenses, including but not limited to my controlling interest in Pioneer Tech Systems, shall pass to." She looked at the paper, then at me, then at Marcus. "Dorothy Washington." The room didn't move. The air did something else. It withdrew. Marcus laughed first, a short, shocked bark that he tried to turn into contempt halfway through, and couldn't. "That's a mistake," he said. "Read it again." Helen adjusted 1 pen, a millimeter. "I have read it again, several times." No, Marcus's voice lost its sugar. "No, that's not." "He wouldn't. The will is clear," Helen said. "The remainder passes to Ms. Washington." Marcus turned to me, eyes electric with a new kind of weather. "You did this," he said. "You manipulated him. You slithered back at the end." "I didn't," I said. He stood, hands flat on the table, knuckles bleaching. "You think you've won," he whispered, and the whisper was worse than a scream. "You think you can stand up in my father's company and play queen." "I think," I said, and my voice surprised me by being steady, "that your father had his reasons." "Reasons?" He smiled, and it wasn't a human expression. "Here are mine." He leaned in so close I could count the raindrops braided into his hair. "I'll burn it all," he said. "I will salt the earth before I let you enjoy $1 of 55.5 million, or a minute of control." Helen clicked off the recorder. Outside, the rain gathered itself for another try. Inside, the storm had already arrived. I left Sterling and Monroe with a paper snowstorm in my chest, and rain trying to staple it together. The city wore that wet metal smell that makes bad decisions feel like they might wash off. By the time I reached the sidewalk, my phone was already a grenade. "Unknown number. This is James at Pioneer Tech." The board has requested your immediate presence today. Now, he said. Conference floor, everyone is already gathering. A horn blew somewhere like a referee. I checked the street, no parade, just my life-changing lanes without signaling. I'll need 10 minutes, I said. You'll need 5, he said, and hung up. I jogged 2 blocks, bought a scarf from a pharmacy rack because mine felt like it belonged to the woman who fell in a chapel, and ducked into a lobby of glass that pretended the weather couldn't get in. Security watched me the way you watch someone who might be the answer to a question you didn't want to ask. Name, the guard said. Dorothy Washington. His eyebrows walked up his forehead. He checked a list that didn't like surprises. You're expected, badge printed. Elevator blinked, permission. The doors shut on a reflection of a woman still damp around the edges and underqualified to be the storm. On the conference floor, everything had a right angle. The receptionist's desk, the impossible ficus, the art that looked expensive because it refused to explain itself. A man in a navy suit with a field medic's efficiency stood. Ms. Washington, I'm James, Chief of Staff. We shook hands, firm, professional, no sympathy to trip on. Short briefing, he said as he walked me down a hall that smelled like budget approvals. Board called an emergency consultation when the will was filed with the surrogate's court. We've had chatter. Employees, market press. We need words. I'm not the words person, I said. Then be the person the will ambushed, he said. Be brief and convincing. He pushed open a door into a room that could seat 28 power chairs comfortably and 30 egos uncomfortably. They were already there, suits in blue and gray tones, faces ranging from I own a vineyard to I haven't eaten a carb since 2011. At the head, a man with silver hair, cut short enough to mean business. I clocked 3 investors, 2 founders clinging to their founder aura, and 1 woman who radiated the smell of regulatory compliance. Ms. Washington, the chair said. I'm Vincent. You're late. What happened? I said, and took the seat where James pointed. Not at the head, not at the foot, the diplomacy zone. Marcus was already in the room. Of course he was, in a white shirt now, hair dry, rage ironed. He occupied a chair like it had volunteered to be furniture for a king. He didn't look at me. He looked at Vincent like men who had never been told no exchanged a very specific kind of yes. Vincent folded his hands. Let's dispense with theater. Ms. Carter has communicated the will. We're here to discuss governance impacts. Dorothy, he used my first name like a test. Explain what you intend to do with control. I didn't ask for it, I said. That isn't an answer, he said. Stabilize, I said. Payroll on time, contracts honored, no stunts. I don't have a hero cape, and I don't want one. A few whispers, a woman to my left, eyebrows like hedges. Do you understand the product roadmap? No, I said, and I won't pretend to. Pioneer Tech has leaders who do. I'm not here to tell engineers how to build a life. I'm here because your founder believed I could keep the ship pointed while we decide who should actually steer. Vincent watched me like a hawk deciding whether the field mouse was worth her time. And your time horizon? Transitional, I said, measured in quarters, not years. Marcus laughed quietly, a silver spoon tapping a crystal rim. So humble, he said, finally glancing my way. So statesmanlike. She's practiced this in the mirror. Marcus, Vincent said without looking at him, the syllable a leash. Marcus's smile sharpened. Here's my answer, he said, pivoting to the table. My father built this with blood nobody in this room has ever seen. He never would have handed it to a woman who walked away. This will is the result of manipulation, misrepresentation, or a clerical hallucination. And my counsel is already drafting papers. We'll file an emergency injunction to suspend her control pending challenge. On what grounds? Vincent said, cool as white marble. Undue influence, Marcus said. Lack of testamentary capacity. Whatever fits. A murmur rolled. The woman with hedge eyebrows cleared her throat. The optics of a family dispute could depress valuation. Optics, Marcus said. The optics of letting a ghost run the company are worse. You're right, I said. His head snapped. I'm sorry. You're right about optics. That's why we stabilize first. I slid the envelope James had tucked into my hand onto the table. Richard left a letter for both of us. Marcus stilled. The room changed texture. Vincent nodded at James, who distributed copies like communion. I didn't look at Marcus while we read. I didn't look at anyone. I looked at Richard's handwriting. Angular, decisive. A hand that could fire you and then hug you before you hit the street. Dorothy and Marcus. If you're hearing this as a letter, It means I lost the argument with my body. That's the only thing I'll admit to losing. Marcus is, you are brilliant and fierce, and not finished, Dorothy. You are steady and stubborn, and not finished. I am not disinheriting you, Marcus. I am insisting that you earn what you can keep. Dorothy. I am not punishing you. I am insisting that you lead where you are strongest. Boring courage under pressure. The company needs a season of calm before it crowns anyone. Dorothy, hold the line. Marcus, fight for it in daylight. If you work together, you can build something I couldn't alone. Do not embarrass me by being small. No flourish. No PS, no apology. Richard never wrote to make you feel better. He wrote to make you act. Marcus inhaled like he had been holding his breath for years. He didn't write that, he said, voice too quiet for his brand. That's not, he wouldn't. He did, Vincent said. I recognize the ruthlessness. It doesn't change the will, Marcus said, recovering the blade. It doesn't change the law. No, I said. It changes our behavior. Vincent tapped the letter once with a fingernail. We won't litigate handwriting in this room. We'll discuss operations. He turned to me. Cash position strong. James said before I could embarrass us. Runway is not immediate concern. Exposure is reputational. Then, we have days, not hours, Vincent said. Agenda, public statement, internal memo, vendor reassurance, and he glanced at the compliance woman regulatory posture. Unions. Hedge eyebrows asked. Not organized, James said, but Twitter may pretend otherwise by lunch. Marcus leaned back, loose and lethal again. Here's my condition, he said, as if anyone had asked. She makes no unilateral decisions. She signs nothing. She hires no one. She fires no one. Every move goes through this board. That's already true, Vincent said. There are bylaws. He also apologizes. Marcus added, eyes on me, to staff, to customers, to me. No, I said, to staff and customers. Yes, for instability. To you, not as currency. I won't buy peace like that. Something almost like approval blinked through Vincent's face and was gone. Statement draft in 1 hour, he said, looking to James. 2 paragraphs. Calm, continuity, gratitude for Richard, clear governance. On it, James said. The door opened without a knock. Security. 2 of them stepped in with the gentle seriousness of people who had been told to be clock faces, not men. Apologies, the taller one said. We need Mr. Washington to come with us. Marcus turned slowly, a cat hearing a door open for a dog. Excuse me, per building policy, he said, not meeting his eyes. We were asked to escort all non-employee guests to the lobby until badges are issued. The room froze on a comma. Vincent's eyebrows moved 0.5 millimeter. Asked by whom? Facilities, the guard said, voice flat. Not my directive, James said. Every eye slid to me like a dance move none of us had rehearsed. I took my hands off the table so they could see them. Not me, I said. And not now. Vincent waved the guards away. Thank you. We'll call if needed. They left, relieved to be ordinary again. Marcus stood. Cute, he said. Try to erase me from the building and from the company in the same morning. That isn't what happened, I said. It's what everyone saw, he said, and tipped his chin toward the glass where 6 phones outside had captured 2 security guards and 1 king who refused to move. Then we correct it, Vincent said. James, on it, James repeated, already texting. Facilities reversing. Guest badges for family members. Lobby cameras request deletion. Deletion won't matter, Marcus said, smiling with all his teeth. Content is content. I felt the old instinct rise, the one that wanted to apologize until there was no air left. I forced it back into its crate. Marcus, I said, stay, work, fight in daylight like he asked. He asked a lot of people a lot of things, Marcus said. He asked me to build Pioneer into a weapon. You're dulling it. He turned to the board. We'll be filing our papers this afternoon. My attorney advises that an emergency injunction is likely given the circumstances. What circumstances? I said. He didn't look at me. The kind judges care about, he said. Public interest, irreparable harm, questionable intent, and a city that loves a son defending his father's legacy. The compliance woman cleared her throat. An injunction, even temporary, complicates filings, banking permissions, and certain vendor contracts. That's the idea, Marcus said, sweet as a cyanide almond. Vincent stood, which made everyone else straighten like puppets pulled by a single string. We are adjourned for 1 hour. Ms. Washington, you, James and I will draft the statement. Everyone else, quiet channels only. No leaks. Marcus, she paused, chose a word. Mr. Washington, I recommend you remain available. I'm always available, Marcus said, and let the door shut behind him with the elegance of a blade sheathed, just to make you forget it was in the room. In the small war room, off the conference space, James opened a laptop and conjured a blank document that already felt like a battlefield. Talk, he said. I kept it short. Grief, gratitude, continuity, stewardship, transition. Add respect, Vincent said, to Richard, to staff, to customers, and add no change to day-to-day operations without board oversight. That last line is aspirin, James said, fingers moving. It's true, I said, and we need truth more than clever. The door cracked. Hedge eyebrows leaned in, phone to ear, face turned pale. Heads up, he said. Marcus just walked into Sterling and Monroe with a camera crew and a statement. James's hands froze on the keys. What statement? The kind that trends, he said, and his attorney is promising an injunction by close of business. The statement went out at 3:11 p.m. 3 paragraphs of aspirin swallowed with no water. Grief, gratitude, continuity, board oversight, stewardship, no change to day. It was decent. It was boring. It was exactly what we needed. The internet did not care. Marcus's clip hit at 3:19, a clean shot on marble steps, him in a white shirt, wind on his hair, the law firm's brass plaque behind him like a seal. He spoke about his father's vision and the outsider who had inserted herself into a legacy she abandoned. His lawyer used phrases like serious concerns, public interest, temporary relief, pending adjudication. The cameraman knew where to stand. The caption did the rest. Phones, James said, scanning a dashboard of misery. Press asking for comment. Staff Slack lighting up. Vendor portal, above baseline. Above baseline, how? Vincent said. Login password reset. People get nervous and check their balances. At 3:32, my phone buzzed with a number I recognized, the way you recognize a scar. Dorothy, said a voice with a banker's patience. Tracy from Eastborough Capital. Routine call. Our system flagged a change in corporate control. We're temporarily placing your operating account under review. Temporarily, I repeated. My chest felt like someone had installed a small, angry animal behind my sternum. Standard risk procedure, Tracy said. No funds move without dual authorization. An officer of record and a board cosign. Should be straightforward. It's never straightforward, I said. She exhaled the way people exhale when they're trying to be human and policy at once. Send over your governance confirmation and today's board minutes. We'll expedite. I covered the receiver and looked at James. Bank review. He didn't swear. He typed, eyes flat. Which account? Operating, he did swear, softly. Payroll hits Friday. 2 days, Vincent said. We're fine. I said, if temporary means hours, not days. Temporary in banking is like soon in grief. I said back to Tracy, we'll send everything in 20 minutes. I'll be on email, Tracy said. We aim to be invisible. Sorry for the visibility. She hung up. James was already composing a packet. Board resolution. Letter from our counsel. Today's statement. A screenshot of bylaws with the relevant clause highlighted like a prayer. Vendors, Vincent said. Calling. James said. Which ones? Vincent said. The ones who panic first, he said, and his phone rang as if summoned. Hi Marco, he said. Sweet, breathe. We're stable. Yes, we saw the clip. No, the factory is not on fire. We split the list. I took the ones whose names I remembered from holidays Richard had made me attend. Dorothy, said a brisk voice 3 calls in. This is Jay, at Latticeform. Credit team wants to move you to cash on delivery, until the dust settles. We've never missed a payment, I said. Optics, he said, apologetic. Also, your bank. We heard review. We heard it first, I said. We're sending docs in 20 minutes. He was quiet, a calculation becoming a man again. Give me an email to hang my hat on, he said. I'll stall. I gave him mine. He promised nothing, and did everything he could not to hang up like a coward. We had sent enough PDFs to tile a lobby. Tracy replied at 4:16. Received, reviewing. At 4:18. Need board. Cosign on interim authorization. At 4:09, Vincent sent it. At 4:24, moving, 1 to 3 hours. 1 to 3, I said. Bank time, James said. I stared at the clock like I could intimidate it into mercy. At 4:30-1, security pinged James. Lobby situation, which kind? He said, the content kind. He texted back, tripods, influencers, staff not wanting to cross the gauntlet. We have a garage entrance, Vincent said. Rumor says we locked it. James said. We didn't. Vincent said. We don't control rumor. James said. I stood. I'll go down. Vincent looked at me like I had suggested juggling chainsaws. Why? Because I'm the face, I said, and I'd rather my face be attached to my body than to whatever edit Marcus serves. Don't improvise, he said. I'll say 10 words, I said. Make them 7, he said, and went back to bleeding emails. The elevator opened on a lobby that had become an ecosystem. Cameras by the doors, a ring light like a moon, a man with the haunted eyes of a security guard who had Googled himself once and didn't like what he found. Staff were orbiting the outside edges, trying to become plants. As I stepped out, a young guy with a microphone attached to an iPhone pivoted. Ms. Washington Dorothy, do you support silencing your son? He said, breathless with both concern and hope. No one is silenced, I said. We're working. A woman with sharp bangs cut in. Did you manipulate Richard's will? No, I said. Another voice. Will you step down for Marcus? Not today, I said. Not before payroll. Someone laughed. One honest sound. Statement inside, I said, pointing to the glass doors like they contained a church. If you're in the business of facts, it's 3 paragraphs. If you're in the business of drama, you already have your clip. I wasn't proud of that last line. It was less than 7 words and more than I should have said. The lobby pulsed around it anyway. As I turned toward the inner security gate, an arm slid into my path. Not security, not press, younger than Marcus, sweatshirt, eyes too bright. Ms. Washington, he said, phone already opened to a screenshot. You need to see this. I braced for a new cut of my fall. Instead, a system alert from our bank portal. Timestamped 2 minutes earlier. Red banner. Pending review. Outgoing transfers restricted. Where did you get that? I said. Friend and ops. He said. Slack. Delete it. I said. He laughed like I'd asked him to make the sun polite. It's already everywhere. By the time I reached the turnstiles, 3 staffers had stopped pretending to check their emails. 2 approached. 1 hung back. Is payroll safe? I first asked, straightforward as a ledger. Yes, I said. Bank's doing a temporary review, standard procedure. We sent what they needed. We're green by morning. You're sure? The second said. I'm not in the business of lies, I said. If that changes, I'll say so first. The third hovered, then stepped up. My mom works 2 jobs, she said without preface. I send money home. If payroll slips, I don't eat. That's not drama. That's life. I hear you, I said, and meant it. If the bank drags, I'll bridge from my own account. You'll be paid. Can you do that? The first asked. Yes, I said. I'll wire it today if needed. They studied my face like a map. People can tell when you're redrawing the terrain to make room for the road you just promised. Back upstairs. Vincent didn't wait for me to sit. You just promised to wire payroll, he said. If the bank drags, I said, I'd rather buy time than headlines. It's a bad precedent, he said. It's a human one, I said. James's screen chimed. Vendor thread again. One of the plastic suppliers is moving us to prepay name. Vincent said. Northbridge, James said. 2 containers in transit. They want a wire tonight, or they'll hold at port. Call, Vincent said. James hit speaker. The line picked up on the second ring with a voice designed by Nicotine. This is Andrea, she said. Andrea, it's James at Pioneer Tech. We're good for our usual terms. You're good for a lot of things, Andrea said, but my boss is good at reading the internet. I can't tell him a clip isn't a clip. We'll wire a partial, James said. You release 1 container. We clear the other on arrival. You think I want to be the reason your assembly line coughs? Andrea said. I want to be the reason it purrs, but I also want to have a job next week. Check your inbox, I said, surprising myself. You'll have proof of funds in 5. Who is this? Andrea said. Washington, I said. The X, she said, non-judgmental. The remainder, I said, not proud. Give me the proof, she said. I'll walk into his office with a printout and my best sad eyes. We hung up. I opened my personal banking app, felt a small mean joy at the balance I had never bragged about, and cued a transfer to our escrow. The number hurt. Good pain proves reality. James leaned over my shoulder to verify the digits, like a bomb tech. Add a note, he said. Vendor Bridge, Northbridge release 1 of 2. The auditors will live longer. I typed it. hit confirm. The app did the spin that makes you question your faith. Then, a checkmark, receipt, James said. I forwarded it. He attached it to an email with more acronyms than words. Vincent exhaled. You just made yourself very popular with the floor, he said. I didn't do it to be popular, I said. She nodded. That's why it might work. At 5:07, Tracy from the bank called back. We're through review, she said. Breathed like a woman who'd been chased by a dog and outsmarted it with a fence. Outbound, restored for standard thresholds. Anything above routine will still need a board cosign payroll. I said, clean. She said, vendor wires, below cap, clean. You'll get a formal email in 3. Please don't tweet it. I didn't have to. Slack did the tweeting for us without leaving the building. James's dashboard ticked from orange to a sort of jaundiced yellow. Good, Vincent said. We've turned a corner. We should. James's face changed. Not pale. Tight. What? Vincent said. Look, James said and spun his monitor. A mid-tier tech blog had posted a headline that knew what it was doing. Pioneer Tech Founders X takes the wheel. Employees fear payroll fallout. Under it, a screenshot, my transfer receipt with my partial account number. Cleverly masked, and just enough context to make it look like a bailout from a private stash to a sinking ship. The caption did the rest. She's paying them out of pocket. How bad is it? Who leaked? Vincent said. .com, in the way that happens right before the glass breaks. James was already tracing the EXIF trails and the Slack channels and the timestamp clusters like a hunter reading prints in new snow. And then, the bigger hit. An account with 1 million followers reposted Marcus's Marble Steps clip with a new venomous line. She walked away. She came back for the money. Now she's playing savior while she strangles the company. My father built. The lobby below us cheered like a stadium at a goal. My phone vibrated with a text from an unknown number. A viral's cadence. Tell your followers the truth. You're the reason Richard is gone. I stared at it. The room narrowed to a straw dot. James read over my shoulder, eyes widening. The first real fear of the day slipping past his training. Vincent didn't ask to see it. She didn't need to. She could see it land on my face. What does it say? She said. Anyway, soft. I swallowed something made of glass. It says I killed the company, I said. Voice level by discipline alone. James looked from me to the door like he was calculating how many seconds it would take to assemble a firing squad of PR, legal, and kindness. And I added as another message came in. Same number, colder, and you killed Richard, too. I didn't answer the text that accused me of killing Richard. I put the phone face down like it could bite. Don't engage, Vincent said. We route anything defamatory to counsel. James, capture and archive. Dorothy, water, then calls. I drank. It tasted like a task. At 6:03, a number with a West Coast lilt appeared. I almost let it go to voicemail. I didn't. Dorothy, a warm baritone said. Already familiar. Gabriel Albright, Summit North. I knew the name. Everyone who's ever looked at a cap table knows the name. Activist friendly capital with a smile you can't trust. I've been following the situation, he said. Condolences. Richard was singular. Thank you, I said, waiting for the invoice inside the compliment. Let me be blunt. You're getting kneecapped in the court of public opinion. Banks twitchy, vendors spooked, board uncertain. You need a bridge, financial and reputational. We do both. How? I said. Cash and calm, he said. We take a minority stake, staple a credit facility, make a joint statement, long-term partners during transition. We front-load approvals, so payroll, procurement, vendor wires never spike a review. Press coverage changes in a day. What's the price? I said. 2 board seats, he said. Observer 3, standard covenants. We keep our mouths shut in public and our hands open in private. We like founders. We hate chaos. James scribbled strings on a pad and underlined it twice. What do you like about Pioneer? I asked. Sticky contracts, he said without missing a beat. Hardware you can't rip and replace. Software you can't uninstall without therapy. And a service revenue that pretends to be humble while quietly owning the room. Why call me? I said. Why not Marcus? Silence, long enough to hear the room breathe. Then we talk to everyone, Gabriel said, but we make deals with the person who can sign. James's pen stopped. He didn't look up. Come by, I said. 9 tomorrow. I'm in your lobby now, he said. I thought you'd say yes. James mouthed, no. Vincent did not move. Up, I said, and ended the call before I could change my mind. Gabriel looked like a man cast to play sane money. Navy suit, clean jaw, the kind of smile that offers you a chair and counts your fingers when you shake his hand. He shook Vincent's first, which was correct, and didn't offer a card, which meant he knew we already had one on file. Full disclosure, he said as we sat. We spoke with Marcus an hour ago. Of course you did, I said. He's a force, he said, but he's not signatory. Yet, I said. He smiled without teeth. Yet is the most expensive word in my business. He laid out the term sheet like a play. 2 seats, observer, veto on acquisitions, executive comp above a threshold, debt above a threshold, and any strategic communications in extraordinary circumstances. A line that looked small until you realized extraordinary is a lawyer's way of saying today, what do you want in return? Vincent said, stability, he said, and an option to participate if you raise later. And optics, I said. Those two, he said. James pointed at the observer seat clause. Who's your observer? Kelly Trent, he said. James's eyes flickered. Not fear, recognition. Marcus's friend, I said. Kelly advises multiple families. Gabriel said, knows your space. Marcus knows Kelly. Everyone knows everyone, I said. Chicago's a village with better shoes. Gabriel said. James slid me his pad and block letters, enabler. I ran my finger down the covenants. You keep saying stability, I said. Your seats vote against me. How soon? We don't vote people out, he said. We let math do it. Honest, at least. Give us the night, Vincent said. We'll respond. You have an hour, he said, and stood. By then, the narrative decides if you live through the weekend. I'm not threatening, I'm narrating. He left a weight in the room heavier than paper. Strings, I said. Rope, James said, with a bow. Vincent stared at the door he'd gone through. We'll likely need a partner, she said. We don't need a puppeteer, I said. My phone buzzed again, this time building management. Ms. Washington, the super said, voice like an old stair tread. We've had some disruption. Flyers taped to the elevator. Somebody chalked the sidewalk. What kind of flyers? I said. HOA style, he said. Except we're not an HOA. Some tenants are uncomfortable sharing a residence with a woman under investigation, he coughed. You're not under investigation, are you? Only by the internet, I said. There's also a notice, he said, printed like an official thing. Community safety alert, says known abuser on premises and financial predator, photocopied from a template. You can tell. Take them down, I said. I did, he said. 2 residents put up new ones. They looked eager. I'll be home in an hour, I said. Maybe take the service entrance, he said, embarrassed for me. When I stepped onto the sidewalk, the air had that early evening ache. Taxis, rain, the city's teeth showing. I walked 3 blocks to clear my head and failed. A woman in a rust coat fell in beside me. Phone out at chest level. Camera aimed like kindness. Ms. Washington, she said. Quick question. No, I said. This will be kinder if you give a quote, she said. Keeping pace. We're doing a piece on grief theater pass, I said. Is it true you're forbidding Marcus from entering the building? She said. That didn't happen, I said. Is it true you're paying payroll out of your pocket because no one trusts you with real money? She said. I'm paying people because people matter, I said. A kid on a scooter skimmed too close and clipped my knee. It wasn't an accident. He looked back, grinning, and kicked harder. Careful, the woman said. Not to me. Tell Marcus I said hi, the kid shouted. A black SUV nosed to the curb. A window rolled down, blonde hair, curated stubble, a face I recognized from startup parties I hated. Dorothy, she called, hop in, it's chaos out here. Kelly, I said. She shrugged. Small village. No, I said. She got out anyway, left the door open like an invitation. Let me walk you, she said. The cameras like angles. You want the right one. You work for Gabriel, I said. I work with, she said, and for families who love this company, including Marcus. He's rattled. You can avoid war if you let adults help. Who's adults? I said. The ones with levers, she said. She lowered her voice to something that wanted to be confidential. Marcus is filing this evening. Emergency injunction. You know the drill. You can take the deal and ride out the mess with us, or you can be the mess. Funny thing, I said. I thought we already were the mess. We're the cleanup crew, she said, smiling. We're very good at it. She moved half a step closer, like a woman who sells safety and keeps a list of the people who declined. Also, she said, You should know a packet landed at 2 tech reporters. Undated letter. Richard reads like regret. Could be genuine. Could be fake. Either way, it says he wanted Marcus to lead immediately. He didn't, I said. I read the real one. Truth is a big tent, she said. I'm offering you a seat under it. Tell Marcus I'll see him in court, I said. I'll tell him you chose suffering, she said, and slid back into the SUV like it had been choreographed. When I reached my building, the flyers were gone, but the chalk wasn't. A white outline of a woman on the sidewalk like a crime scene with a caption in block letters. Don't fall for her. Someone had a sense of humor and a printer dot in the lobby. Mrs. DeMarco from 4B hugged her coat to her neck and didn't meet my eyes. Mr. Hale from 6F did and enjoyed it. You should think about moving, he said. Faux concern dripping. People like stability. I'll let you know when I meet some, I said. Upstairs, in the quiet that counted furniture and ghosts, a note was leaned against my doorframe in an envelope addressed to Pioneer's thief. Inside, a printout of my bank transfer receipt, circled in red like a teacher grading, and a sticky note, Hero Complex equals cash flow. I set it on the counter next to Helen's card. I didn't sit. If I sat, I might not stand. The intercom buzzed. I almost ignored it. Delivery, the doorman said. I didn't order anything, I said. It's a letter, he said. Hand delivered. The messenger wouldn't leave until I buzzed. I went down. The messenger was a teenager with a backpack and a look that said he'd deliver a live grenade if the tip were decent. For Ms. Washington, he said, like a courtroom clerk. Who sent this? I said. That. He tapped his phone. No sender. I get paid when I send a photo of you holding it. I took the envelope. He snapped and fled. Back upstairs, I slid it open with a butter knife. 1 page, board letterhead. The kind of formal that thinks we regret to inform you is a lullaby. Ms. Washington. In light of recent developments, and in accordance with Article 7, Section 3 of the bylaws, the Board of Directors has scheduled a special meeting to consider a vote of no confidence in your capacity as interim controlling shareholder, and to discuss alternative structures for governance during the transition. Meeting tomorrow, 10 a.m., conference floor. Attendance is mandatory. Respectfully, Vincent L. Clerch, Board of Directors. I didn't realize I was holding my breath until the room told me to stop. James texted 2 seconds later. You got it. I answered, yes. Before I could add more, another message arrived. Unknown number, same cadence as the others. A photo this time, Marcus in a downtown bar with Kelly and Gabriel, glasses up, caption, to tomorrow. Under it, a single line, no confidence, Mom, in you. The night cut itself into quarters. At 2:14 a.m., I stopped pretending to sleep and started counting invoices. At 3:02, I sold the mutual fund I'd pretended not to care about. At 3, I listed the weekend place I'd barely used and had always called up north, even though it was not quite. At 4:11, I wrote an email to a woman I hated and asked her to buy it quickly. By 6, the sun admitted defeat and rose anyway. At 7:10, my phone chimed. Escrow confirmations from my bank. Pending wires labeled the way auditors like. At 7:12, a text from Tracy at East. Payroll cleared internally. Green to release at 2 p.m., barring any injunction. At 7:13, a text from an unknown number, barring any injunction. I showered until the water forgot to be hot. The mirror showed a woman who needed a rest and a lie. I settled for coffee. The garage door at Pioneer Tech yawned like a secret entrance. James was already in the war room, hair up, sleeves rolled past decisions. Clock check, he said, pointing to a whiteboard where the morning had been carved into rectangles. Vendors, statement V2, floor walk, union rumor control, court filing watch, board vote at 10, payroll. I asked. Ready? He said. But if the injunction hits before 2, the bank may pause again, on principle. We need a backup that doesn't care about principle. I brought one, I said, and put the escrow release draft on the table. Personal bridge triggered at 1:30. If Tracy confessed, she didn't applaud. She circled 1:30 with a red marker the way a surgeon circles. A rib. Vincent came in with the weather of a courtroom on her face. The injunction hearing is on the docket at 11, she said. Temporaries rarely clear that fast, but Marcus's attorney is performing. Performing how? I said. Presser actually filed into the clerk's office, she said. It's new, it's gross, and it's working. James slid us both printouts. Staff chatter overnight, he said. Mostly fear, some anger. A few people posted your transfer receipt like it was a pledge drive gift. Any threats? Vincent asked. Mostly to quit. James said, one death threat in a DM. We're compiling. Council will handle. Also, someone hung a banner across the loading dock. What kind of banner? I said. James tapped his phone. A photo, white sheet, spray paint, block letters. Marcus is pioneer. Mom is pioneer. Oh, points for pun, I said, and felt the smile die before it could be born. We walked the floor at 8. Machines hummed. People pretended not to look. The good ones didn't pretend. They met my eyes like we were both guilty of being alive today. A 23-year-old in a hairnet bumped my shoulder and didn't apologize. I liked him for it. You Washington? A man near the packing line asked, not unkindly. Yes, I said. I'm Leon, he said. 3 kids. If the money lands today, I'll forgive your face. It will, I said. Then I'll bring you a muffin. I didn't bake, he said, and went back to sealing boxes like they were promises. At 8:32, my phone vibrated. A post from Marcus. Clean video, softer voice, sadness as strategy. Mom, single quotes as chosen war. I'm choosing workers. If Pioneer delays pay, DM me. I will cover what she won't. James read it, exhaled through his teeth. He's good. He's relentless, I said. He learned it here. Vincent said. 8-40-7. Security pinged. Someone in the south stairwell with a backpack. By the time we got there, it was just a backpack stuffed with blank flyers and a marker bleeding through the cap. Do we call the police? James asked. We call housekeeping, Vincent said, and handed me the marker like a dare. Back upstairs, Kelly waited in reception with a smile that had been ironed flat. Big day, she said. Want an easy mode? I said, no. Gabriel could still sign by noon, she said. Bridge hits before payroll. Optics go from chaos to BAFTA, and the board stops fantasizing about your head. To seats and an observer is a guillotine. You call jewelry, I said. Tell him no. Kelly's smile tilted. Tell Marcus he's underestimating you, she said. That'll make him more dangerous. And she left because some women think exits are threats. At 9:15. A Slack rumor. Vanity line halted. James flagged it. Who started? Skunkworks channel, he said. Looks like a contractor. Also, someone posted a shot of 2 pallets staged for return. They're not wrong, I said. James turned. We haven't decided that. We have, I said, and pulled up the dashboard that Richard had mocked as my grown-up spreadsheet. Unit economics in gray. A product line with Marcus's fingerprints, glass and aluminum. Showpieces that looked beautiful on desks and bad on earnings glowed, red like a wound. It absorbed engineering hours, ate supplier credit, and bought us exactly 0 in the categories that mattered. Richard had indulged it because he loved beauty. I could love beauty and still care about dinner. We cut Halo now, I said. Freeze production, hold marketing spend, redirect engineering to the boring, profitable boxes that keep the place lit. James stared, right before the board vote. Marcus will detonate you. He already filed the explosives, I said. If I'm going to get blown up, I'd like the detonation to fund payroll. Vincent didn't argue. Make the memo surgical, she said. No adjectives, numbers, and impact. I wrote it like a math problem on a throat. Effective immediately. Suspend Halo production pending margin remediation. Current run rate loss, $420 unit. Projected Q3 burn, $1.6 million. Reassigned 8 engineers to core support SKUs. Reduce backlog by 19 days within 2 sprints. Hold all Halo marketing placements. Net savings, $380,000 this quarter. Vendor impact. Shift aluminum allotment to core frames. Notify Northbridge by noon. Maintain volume commitment via substitution. Signed, me. Countersigned, Vincent. CC James copied. Finance, ops, engineering leads. Attached, a graph that hurt and a calendar that helped. James tapped send at 9:33. The building inhaled. Then, the temperature changed the way rooms do right before a fire alarm. Marcus's response was a lightning strike. A story. Him in a lab holding a Halo chassis like a trophy. Caption. She's killing my father's vision because she can't build her own. Then a slide with a single sentence in Richard's unmistakable hand. Beauty is utility in a dress. James looked at the ceiling like it might offer help. That's from the archive, he said. He's mining the vault. Vincent checked her watch. Bored in 27 minutes, she said. We keep Halo suspended. We make payroll. We win the boring war. The boardroom felt colder than yesterday. Same chairs, new appetite. Hedge eyebrows had trimmed themselves out of superstition or nerves. Compliance woman had a fresh stack of paper to hide behind. Vincent called us to order, her voice a bell. We have 2 items, she said, injunction risk and interim governance. Mr. Washington, you requested to speak first. Marcus stood as if floors existed to elevate him. Injunction will be filed and heard at 11, he said. Our case is straightforward, our evidence strong, public interest obvious. In the meantime, she's already harming the company. He paused. See, Halo suspension. So we move on no confidence now, and install a caretaker committee until the court clarifies control. Caretaker committee means who? Vincent asked. 3 senior directors with me as an advisor. Marcus said, we keep the lights on without letting her pull levers. You have no standing to advise, compliance woman said without looking up. I have the only standing that matters, Marcus said. Public trust. Public doesn't sign checks, I said. Banks do, vendors do, employees do with their bodies. Vincent nodded once toward me. Your statement, she said. I stood. I didn't make my voice bigger than it was. Payroll hits it too, I said. If the bank flinches, my escrow releases at 1:30. Vendors are covered through Monday. We suspended Halo, a line that loses money and sucks air. We refocus, encore, destabilize. We'll revisit beauty when we can afford it. Marcus laughed like a glass breaking in another room. You call it beauty like a vice, he said. To your father, durability was the point, I said. He wrapped it in beauty because he respected customers. Killing Halo is temporary. Killing rent is permanent. Eyebrows rustled. This is what money understands. Rent. Hedge eyebrows raised a hand. Is payroll truly guaranteed? He said, distrustful and hungry for relief. Yes, I said. Even if I have to beg, then beg, Marcus said. Publicly. No, I said. I'll do something better. I'll show my receipts. I slid printouts across the table. The escrow setup, the wire instructions, the triggers, blurry account numbers, sharp intent. Vincent glanced. James had already looked. Compliance woman did the math with a pencil and a fear of prison. She nodded once to herself. Motion, Vincent said. No confidence as requested. Marcus's yes hit the air before the sentence finished. 2 board members followed like ducks. Hedge eyebrows hesitated. James wasn't a vote, but if facial expressions counted, I had half a seat. Before we vote, a voice at the far end said, quiet. A woman I hadn't clocked yesterday. Diane, ex-CFO, acquired with an acquisition. She wore a brown suit that would never trend. I want the facts, she said. 1. Tracy at Eastboro, the bank, confirming payroll is green. 2. Vendor Northbridge confirming release of 1 container on proof of funds. If I get both, I'll vote against no confidence until the injunction hearing resolves. If I don't, I'll vote with Marcus. Vincent nodded. James was already dialing Tracy on speaker. She picked up on the first ring like a woman sitting on a grenade. James, she said. We need the 1-sentence version, he said. Payroll green, she said. Release at 2 absent court order. Email it, James said. Subject line, payroll green. No adjectives. On its way, she said. James clicked to Andrea at Northbridge. It rang 4 times, then a breathy answer. James, tell your woman she buys fast. We sent proof, James said. I printed it, Andrea said. Put on mascara. Cried in my boss's doorway like a documentary. 1 container rolls. The second waits for Friday. James glanced at Diane. Good enough, Diane said. Motion on the floor. Vincent said again. No confidence. Votes came like rain on a tin roof. Yes, no, abstain, no, yes. It tallied to a tie with 1 left. Diane. She looked at Marcus, and I saw how much she wanted to love the boy who loved the founder, who had saved her job in an acquisition, once upon a generous afternoon. Then she looked at the paper in her hand that had numbers on it and stepped on her heart. She said. The motion failed. Marcus's smile didn't move. Only the temperature did. Cute, he said. You bought a morning, Marcus said. Days make forts, I said. Vincent rapped the table once final. Next item, injunction. We reconvene at 1 with counsel. Meeting adjourned. The room emptied like a tub with the plug pulled. Marcus didn't rush. He approached me slowly, a predator giving the prey time to write a will. You think you hurt me with Halo, he said. You hurt the people who believed in it. The engineers who stayed late. The kids who cared. I'll move them to something that ships, I said. They'll still care, and they'll get paid. You don't get it, he said. Richard built a cathedral, and you're boarding up the stained glass. I'm fixing the roof in the rain, I said. Stained glass later. He leaned in, voice gone quiet like a scalpel. 2 p.m. injunction or payroll. Either way, I'll make sure the world watches. He brushed past. James let out a breath he'd borrowed. You okay? He asked. No, I said, but I know what the next hour is. At 12:06, counsel texted from the courthouse. Judge skeptical of emergency relief. Hearing continues. Not over. A Marcus-aligned account posted a leak, a cropped photo of my Halo memo stripped of numbers, captioned, "She kills what he loved." At 1:02. Tracy emailed with the subject Diane had requested. Payroll green. I printed it and taped it to the war room wall like a child's drawing on a fridge at 1:17. My escrow app waited with its finger on a trigger that felt like a cliff. At 1:28. James stared at me. We pull, he said. We wait for Tracy, I said. At 1:29, a courthouse update. Judge taking brief recess. No ruling yet. At 1:29 and 40 seconds. My phone buzzed with an alert about an abnormal login attempt on my personal banking app. I thumbed in, heart spiking, and saw the Bridgewire request duplicated and queued by a location I didn't recognize. Kill it, James said. I killed it. Changed the password, felt the animal behind my sternum claw once, and settled. At 1:31, Tracy called. Green, she said. I repeat, green, the system is releasing payroll now. Thank you, I said, and didn't realize I'd gripped the edge of the table until the wood admitted my fingerprints. Slack bloomed with little confetti emojis and genuine relief, which looks like people pretending not to cry because keyboards don't like tears. Leon sent a selfie with a muffin and a thumbs up. I wanted to frame it. At 1:44, Andrea texted a photo of a container rolling out of a yard. Caption, your mascara worked. At 1:52. I sent internal a note. Payroll landed. Halo suspended. Core first. We breathe. I signed it with just my first name because I didn't want to hide behind a job I hadn't earned. At 1:58, Marcus posted a black square. The caption read, she paid. With your money, with mine, with my father's. She will pay again. Halo lives. See you at 2. I stared at it. The clock hit the hour. James nodded at the intercom. Press in the lobby, he said. You don't have to go. I do, I said. We said daylight. We stepped into the elevator. Vincent joined us, adjusting cuffs like armor. Say as little as possible, she said, then say less. The doors opened onto a field of microphones, phones, eyes, a banner waiting on the far wall like a verdict. Richard's vision over women's egos. Marcus stood at the front, immaculate, haloed by ring lights. A halo chassis gleamed on a stand beside him like a hostage in jewelry. Afternoon, he said to the room, and then to me, a smile that promised ruin. Shall we talk about what you killed? Marcus let the room soak in his black square mood and then poured gasoline. She killed Halo in a memo, he said, chin toward me. She swung the axe. Here's what my father actually wanted. His screen lit with Richard's handwriting, photographed on cream paper, crisp and surgical. The caption, immediate transition to Marcus, Dorothy as non-voting advisor. Beauty first, no delays. A gasp rippled, phones rose. The words felt like a slap I'd earned in another life. James's mouth tightened. Where did he get that? He whispered. Archive, I said, or a forgery with nice taste. Marcus pointed at the line that would trend. Immediate transition to Marcus. He let it hang like a chandelier. He wrote this during chemo, Marcus said, voice threaded with grief like silver. He knew time. He knew talent. He knew me. May I? I asked the microphones, and the room pivoted like a flock. Show your receipts, Marcus sang. I didn't have the original letter in my pocket. I had the scan James had pulled at dawn. He airdropped it to the lobby display before the front row could heckle. Richard's other letter appeared, same hand, same ink, the one we'd read in the boardroom, the one that didn't make anyone feel good. I am not disinheriting you, Marcus. I am insisting that you earn what you can keep. Dorothy, hold the line. Marcus, fight for it in daylight. BAFTA didn't flinch. Undated drafts aren't law, he said. This, he tapped, was final. Yours is undated too, Vincent said, stepping beside me like a lighthouse no one had ordered, and signed without a witness, which means it's a poem, not a directive. Laughter, nervous, real. Here's what matters, I said. Payroll hit. Vendors roll. Halo pauses because math breathes. We build the things customers buy. We honor beauty when we can afford it. Coward, someone shouted from the side. Not a reporter. A kid in a merch hoodie. Engineer. I asked. Halo, she said, defiant as a first tattoo. Thank you for caring, I said. Come talk to me after. Bring the 3 worst bugs and the cheapest fix. Marcus's smile returned like a weapon reclaimed. One more thing, he said, and the room obeyed. He cued a clip. Richard on a factory tour, hair tied back, safety glasses on. The future belongs to the ones who make the useful beautiful, Richard said to camera. Don't let cowards cheapen the work. The edit cut to my face in the boardroom yesterday. Hard freeze on my mouth mid-word, and then back to Marcus's caption. He cheapens. I don't. The cheer wasn't big. It was enough. Vincent leaned in. We're done, she murmured. Don't feed it. We turned for the elevators. A voice cut through the room like Wyatt Dorothy. Not Marcus, not press. A woman who still wore her union jacket from a factory that died in Gary. She held up her phone, opened to a picture of her daughter in a Pioneer tee. She sends me money. She said, if you keep that happening, I don't care about your war. I will, I said. Then fight somewhere else, she said. Not on my kids' feet. And she melted back into the swarm. Upstairs, the war room looked like a battlefield after the first artillery. Cups, paper, the smell of decisions. James's laptop chimed. Sterling and Monroe, he said. Injunction denied as premature. Judge wants a fuller record. Next hearing in 2 weeks. Vincent didn't smile. We bought quiet, she said. Spend it. James kept moving. There's a new thing, he said. An account posted a cropped photo of Richard's so-called immediate transition note with a watermark. Source looks like internal archive camera. The one in the memorial room. Who has access? Vincent asked. Board, family, facilities. James said. She didn't say Marcus. She didn't have to. Lock the room, Vincent said. Change the code. I'll take the calls. I sent a floor-wide note. Thank you for today. We will get boring on purpose. Bring me bugs and fixes. Bring me problems with prices and parts. We'll fund beauty with margins, not against them. We walked the warehouse at 4. Diesel breath, pallet squeaks, the slow ballet of forklifts threading aisles like patient sharks. When the company is honest, it smells like this. Leon from packing handed me a muffin wrapped in a napkin. Not baked by me, he said. Still counts. It counts twice. I said. By the loading dock. A knot of engineers in hoodies had formed a small weather system. One Halo girl from the lobby argued with a woman whose badge read prod. Her hands carved blame in the air. Killing everything fun, she said. We're a brand, not a box factory. Boxers keep kids fed, the lead said, not unkindly. And by your precious hinge, we can do both, she said. If someone with a spine runs it. Hi, I said, stepping in. I brought a spine, also numbers. The girl's chin lifted. You shut us down. I paused a category. I said, a pause is a plan, not a funeral. You want Halo to live. Prove it can eat less. Margins will improve with scale, she said, parroting a deck. Scale is expensive, I said. Show me the 3 fastest cuts to move us $50 per unit toward survival. You do that by Friday. I'll commit to a pilot batch. That's not a promise to save your art. It's a promise to buy you time to earn it. Her anger cooled a degree. 50 is not enough. It gets us in the same sentence as viable, I said, and it signals to vendors we're not drunk. The prod nodded. You heard the woman. Bugs, then beauty. A wave of motion at the far end. Heads turned the way heads do when a storm crosses a field. Marcus walked in through the open dock door like he owned the weather. 2 phones followed him. One in his own hand. He climbed 3 crates like steps and didn't ask permission because he never had. People of Pioneer, he said, voice pitched for echo. You built my father's miracle. She is dismantling it. Half the room froze. Half looked at their shoes. A few looked at me. This is a workplace, the dock supervisor said, hustling over. You can't watch me, Marcus said, and panned his phone, collecting faces like assets. Marcus, I said, not here. Exactly here, he said. You want daylight. Here we are. He pointed at a stack of Halo frames wrapped in thin plastic and grief. They were supposed to ship next week, he said. She's killed them. She's killing you. Payroll hit, Leon said, louder than he looked. I'm not killed. Marcus blinked at the interruption, regathered himself. Do you want to build boxes the rest of your life? He asked the room. Or do you want to build the thing you'll show your kids? Both, the prod said, in that order. It should have been funny. It wasn't. It was steady. You think small, Marcus said. I think rent, the lead said. Marcus hopped down, anger trying to stay elegant. He moved toward the halo pallets, tore back the wrap like a magician revealing truth, and lifted a chassis. It glowed under cheap light. It did look like something you'd show your kid. Richard said, beauty is utility in a dress, Marcus said, holding it up. She's stripping it naked. He also said, don't be small, I said, and small is pretending margins are a conspiracy. We stood there, two people raised by the same storm, throwing weather at each other. Then the building made a new sound, not the ordinary hum, something sharp and wrong, a high-pitched whine from the north aisle, then a pop, a smell like cooked plastic, and a thread of smoke writing its name into the air. Kill power, the dock supervisor barked, already moving. Where? I said. North converter. He said, if it goes, we lose the line. We ran. The forklift ballet broke formation, workers peeling aside, phones traded for fire extinguishers. The whine grew into a thin scream. We hit the converter panel as a fuse spat a bright bead and died with a mean little sigh. A line cart had been left jammed against a cage it never kissed. An access panel hung open that should have been latched. A cable had been tugged where cables live to be left alone. James arrived with 2 floor leads and adrenaline in a bun. What happened? He asked. Something that shouldn't, the supervisor said, flipping breakers with the care of a priest. The whine faded. The smoke kept its opinion. This isn't an oops, this is a someone. Sabotage, James said flat, like he was testing the word. The prod lead crouched, touched the cable, hissed, hot, and she held up her fingers, black on the tips, grease smeared where we don't use grease. Marcus appeared at my shoulder, breath quick, phone up, eyes bright. Wow, he said softly, chaos under control. This is your fault, Halo Girl blurted, glaring at me. You cut Halo, so someone cut us. That's not logic, the prod lead said. It's a story. Not disagreeing, Marcus said. Not agreeing, just feeding the air. I looked at the open panel, at the dragged cart, at the grease, at the cable that had wanted to be left alone. Cameras, James said. North aisle blind for 2 days. The supervisor said, shame, all over his face. Maintenance ticket waiting on a part. Convenient, Marcus murmured. James straightened. Shut it, he told him. Marcus smiled. Daylight, he said. I'm just narrating. The fire alarm chose that moment to announce its opinion. Shrill, merciless, unstoppable. Red strobes hammered the corners. The floor boss shouted for evacuation. Hands found each other. Doors banged. The careful ballet was gone. Over the siren, a security guard sprinted in, face flushed, radio screaming at his shoulder. North dock roll-up door is jammed. He panted. It won't open. The manual chain is cut. James stared at the chain, like it had insulted her mother. Cut how? He said, with intent. He said. The alarm kept howling. Smoke wrote a thicker sentence. The crowd thickened toward exits that suddenly felt small. Marcus's phone kept filming. Everyone out, I shouted, throat raw. South exits first. No running. People moved. Good people, my people, whether they liked it or not. James grabbed my arm. If the converter arcs again, the north line goes, he said. If the north line goes, we eat a recall. Then we don't let it, I said. How? He said. By fixing the roof in the rain, I said. Somewhere behind us, something popped again, sharper, nearer, and the lights over the north aisle stuttered like a bad heart. The fire alarm hit a different pitch, the kind that makes animals run. Marcus lowered his phone half an inch, eyes on me like a judge enjoying a surprise witness. Smile, Mom, he said over the siren. We're live. The alarm made sentences of panic. Red light washed the walls. Smoke wrote thicker words. South exit. The dock boss yelled. Pairs. James's hand was on my sleeve. If the converter arcs again, we lose the north line. If we lose the line, we're in recall territory. Then we don't lose it, I said, and ran. We cut across the floor. Forklifts parked mid-gesture. Pallets abandoned like punctuation. At the panel, heat tried to make a home in my face. The access door hung open like a mouth mid. That scuffed cart still jammed to the cage. Someone had dragged it and left intent behind. Kill main, the supervisor said. And I hit the breaker. The lights over north died. The scream of the alarm kept going, loyal to its one job. Extinguishers, James said, and 2 appeared. 1 in his hands, 1 in mine. We fogged the panel, white breath hissing on metal. Power's cut, the boss said. Checking a meter. Arc risked down. Still hot. Vent, James said. Roll, the south doors. North's jammed, the guard said again, sweating apology. Then, we don't use north, he said, and he sprinted with that relief, only instructions give. Marcus stood 10 yards back filming, face lit by his phone, breath steady. Turn that off, the dock boss said. Daylight, Marcus said. Camera steady. Safety loves accountability. Safety hates spectacle. James snapped. Out or help. Marcus didn't move. The alarm finally choked back to silence as the system reset. A stubborn threat of smoke lingered like a grudge. We stood in the loudness of no sound. Everyone accounted. I asked the boss. Head count says yes, he said. We'll sweep again. Do it, James said. I stared at the panel. The grease on an otherwise dry assembly, the tugged cable, the chain cut. Someone had wanted this to fail in public. Cameras were blind, the boss said again, punishing himself. We've got an eyewitness feed, James said, nodding at Marcus's phone. Marcus smiled. You're welcome. Sirens outside, not ours this time. City, in 30 seconds. 2 firefighters, boots loud, faces too calm for my nerves, then a woman in a windbreaker, with an insurance company's logo, and an expression that said she liked policies more than people. 'Cause, she asked. Electrical, the boss said. Sabotage, James said. Pending investigation, I said. Because lawyers live inside me now. The insurance woman looked around like a hawk measuring a field. Any injury? No, James said. Any product compromised? No, I said. We cut power in time. Show me, she said. We did. She took photos of everything. Panel, grease, chain, stump, my face. I'm calling this a notice of loss inquiry, she said. No official claim yet, but if you had heat near finished goods, we'll need tests. Talk to your GC and your PR. Always do, James said. The firefighters were already bored. One flipped breakers with the tenderness of a man who respected current. You'll live, he said. Don't lick it. They left fast because Chicago burns daily. When the last siren faded, the floor exhaled. People drifted back into patterns, slower, watchful. We started the north line on half power to test. It hummed obediently, like a dog that just remembered training. Lock this down, I told the boss. Only your team touches it. Log everything. I want a chain of custody, not a vibe. He nodded. We'll treat it like a crime scene, he said. And I heard the shame lift. Marcus lowered his phone. Nice work pretending you didn't cause this, he said. I didn't, I said. He held my gaze just long enough to stitch it into a story. The public will decide, he said. You keep outsourcing your courage, James said. Try having a spine offline. Marcus smiled like a threat without calories and walked away. Halo girl at his shoulder. By 4, the floor had found its heartbeat. By 5, facilities had a new chain on the north door. By 5:30, our GC was in the war room, a careful woman with careful hair, and an iPad full of disclaimers. Anything you say about sabotage could be defamatory, she said. Anything you don't say can look like a cover-up. Vincent said, pick your poison. We'll issue a factual incident notice, she said. No adjectives. Unplanned electrical event. No injuries. Line paused. Testing underway. We'll add that an internal review has commenced. And if Marcus posts his version first, James asked. He already has, I said. My phone showed a clip of smoke. My hands, the word chaos in tasteful font. GC sighed, without moving air. Then we stick to facts and bore the audience, she said. At 6. The insurance woman came back with a colleague who introduced himself as Risk Engineering. He wanted to see our maintenance logs. We produced them. He wanted to know why the camera was blind. We told him. He wanted to know who had access to the North Aisle after hours. We looked at James's list and felt a pulse of dread. Family, James said. Board, facilities, to contractors. Which contractors? Risk asked. Door repairs and cleaning, he said. Get names, Vincent murmured. James was already texting. At 6, a message pinged from a number I hadn't saved but recognized the way you recognized. A smell. Kelly. Meeting. Now, alone. I didn't answer. She did what people like her do, appeared without permission. The door opened and there she was, another smile in that village. You have 5 minutes, Vincent said. 3, she said, not breaking rhythm. She put a folder on the table, slim like a blade. Settlement. I didn't touch it. You step down as controlling shareholder in favor of a caretaker committee, she said. You remain a strategic advisor with a stipend and dignity. You rescind the Halo suspension for a limited pilot run while a third-party auditor reviews margins. You make a joint statement with Marcus tonight, unified in grief and purpose. In return, he drops the injunction. Our fund provides a quiet bridge and a soothing quote to the Tribune. Vendors get calm, employees get bedtime. I don't need a stipend, I said. You need air, she said. You can't breathe on this slope. Vincent folded her arms. And your price. Observer seat becomes a voting seat in 3 months, she said. Standard rights, nothing scary. She smiled. Trust me. No, James said. A knife in 2 letters. Kelly didn't look at him. She looked at me. You can avoid a recall, she said softly. All it takes is conceding that you can't win a television show against a man who was born to be on one. She slid the folder closer like it could comfort me. This is mercy, she said. You get to be honorable. He gets to be visionary. Everyone keeps their jobs. Vincent didn't blink. Leave, she said. Kelly rode the refusal like a surfer rides a small wave. She stood. Clock's real, she said at the door. By 8, the city chooses its bedtime story. Decide if you want to be the villain or the mother. She left the smell of expensive shampoo and cheaper ethics. What if she's right? I said, and hated the honesty. James looked tired for the first time. About the TV show? Yes, he said. About the company? No. You step down now, and everything we bought today evaporates. Vincent tapped the table once, a gavel no one saw. We don't split the baby for optics, she said. We build the fort and invite the child to earn entry. By evening, the statement went out. Facts only. Electrical event, review underway, payroll secure, operations stable. Marcus posted his counter-narrative within minutes. Clips, quotes, Richard's archived words, weaponized. The internet chose sides the way it always does. Loudly, quickly, wrong, but payroll hit. Vendors shipped. The North Line purred back to life on Saturday morning, and by Monday, 3 engineers brought me a Halo redesign that saved $47 per unit. Not 50, Halo Girl said, defiant. Close enough for a pilot, I said. 10 units, libraries, if they survive real kids, we talk scale. Her anger cooled into something like respect. Marcus filed another motion. The judge denied it. 2 weeks became a month. The company breathed. Friday moved like a movie with fewer edits. Apprentices showed up with bad resumes and good eyes. Halo Lab posted a final tweak. Shared packaging saved the last $3. The pilot ran. 10 units boxed with a dignity that made the prod lead pat the frame, like a dog that had remembered its tricks. We shipped to libraries whose names tasted like neighborhoods on the South Side. In Englewood, in Austin, Marcus filmed the boxes leaving. He didn't he didn't need to. The kids who touched those machines would do the speech for him. At noon, the city council member came for the tour. Photos happened. She said, future of manufacturing, the way politicians say future of schools. We nodded. We smiled. We didn't let her onto the North Line until she put on steel-toed boots. Ed 1. I stood at the back of the floor while Halo Girl slid a chassis into a test rig and glanced at me like she wanted to hate me and couldn't afford it today. 53, she said, reading the live margin tweak. We did it. You did it, I said. She nodded. Beauty that pays rent. We high-fived like 2 people who dislike high-fives and did it anyway. By evening, the lobby was just a lobby. Lamps, plants, a security guard who'd stopped Googling himself for an hour. The chalk outside had worn to a ghost. The flyers had been replaced with a corkboard posting apprenticeships and 2 rooms for rent. I walked 2 blocks to a little park that pretended to be quiet. A bench didn't argue. I sat. Marcus arrived 10 minutes later, uninvited, He handed me a paper coffee and sat on the other end like we were actors who had agreed to one scene without a director. They passed QA, he said. I saw. I said, libraries will post next week, he said. Kids touching what we made. Good, I said. That we watched a dog decide a squirrel wasn't worth the paperwork. You know the number they like online, he said after a while, barely smiling. The 56 million I bragged about, the 55.5 million you didn't. Numbers do tricks when you hold them in crowds. I know, I said. He traced the rim of his cup. The trust, he said. 500,000. That was not stupid. Tell me when it is, I said. We'll move it. He laughed. 1 syllable, unarmored. Don't tempt me, he said. Night settled a little. Streetlights clicked on. The city pretended to sleep. I didn't cut the chain, he said again, almost to himself. I heard you, I said. Okay, the investigator will too, I said. He breathed out a truth and chose not to say it. After a while, you're still you, he said. I'm trying to be a better one, I said. Don't be smaller, he said. I'm trying to be boring and brave, I said. Dad would have hated that phrase, he said. And for a heartbeat, the word dad sat between us and didn't demand a fight. I know, I said. We sat. We let the quiet count our failures and not call them final. He stood first. 2 weeks, he said. The hearing, the next chapter, the next storm. 2 weeks, I said. He took a step, paused. Bring receipts, he said. Bring fixes, I said. He walked away like meteors do, straight, fast, lit from a place you can't touch. He didn't look back. I didn't expect him to. I finished the coffee. It had gone cold and honest. I texted James, apprentices Monday, 9 a.m. I'll open the door. He sent back a thumbs up and a calendar. Invite titled Boring Starts. I looked up at the tower where the lights of the night shift made constellations only we could name. Useful first, beautiful always. The fort could hold both if we kept choosing. I stood. I went home the long way. The chalk ghost under my shoes didn't bite. We didn't fix a family. We didn't crown a hero. We built a day sturdy enough to stand on and promised to build the next. Bittersweet, which is to say, earned.